Well, I'm here today with Lyle Stack, who grew up in Ketchikan. Lyle, how old are you?
78.
Yeah, and he went to the original Holy Name School downtown on Main Street. Um, do you remember what years approximately?
Let's see, 55, I was 50. Oh, it would have been the early 50s.
And
From first grade.
first grade,
Yeah.
all the way through eighth at that
Through
time?
eighth,
Yeah,
yes.
right. And do you remember any of the teachers?
I do.
Having a favorite teacher or any experiences with the teachers?
Oh, they were all great, actually. They all had different personalities. I remember a couple times the teacher had to come after me with the ruler. But Sister DeSale, Sister Pancratius, Sister Teresa, and Sister Lucille. There was about 4 or 5 of them I remember quite clearly.
And they would have been the Sisters of St. Joseph, right? Is that
I think
right?
so, yeah.
Yeah.
Grade school teachers.
And where did you live and where did your family live?
We lived on 3rd Avenue. Actually, we lived in about 2 or 3 different places in the very early years. But in Ketchikan. And we spent the majority of our years up on 3rd Avenue. And a few years down on Tongass Avenue there across from 2nd.
And you'd walk over to the school on Main, or would you ride like Mike was saying?
Well, I'd ride with my dad occasionally or catch a ride with somebody, but I walked and rode my bike.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mostly planked streets at the time.
Mostly blank streets. Cement streets with holes in them.
So like what now would be right out in front of would be the west side of the tunnel. Was that planked? That wasn't paved until the 50s probably, huh?
Yeah, pretty close to that. It was,
Yeah.
In the 50s. It was all planked. Water Street was all planked. Front Street down through Mill
Sure.
Street.
Yeah.
A lot of planks.
And what did your parents do? What kind of work did they do?
Oh, my father was a fuel truck driver for Cordell Transfer
Mm.
and Panson Motors.
Yeah.
He hauled freight. Kenny Shrum was the owner of Cordell. He worked for him. And Jim Hansen had Hansen Transfer.
Okay. Yeah. Huh.
And I used to haul meat and freight off the Alaska Steam Dock with my dad when he was driving the Cordell trucks.
Sure.
George Hancock Sr. was one of the guys that worked at the steamship company, and Bob Persiewicz.
So coming back to the school, you guys would go there in the mornings. You probably started at 8 or 9 in the morning.
8 o'clock.
And then did you do anything after school? Did they have after school activity, sports or anything?
No, I didn't get involved with too many sports. I was more interested in making money.
Oh yeah.
I went out and sold papers.
Oh yeah.
I worked for the Daily News and the Chronicle.
Yeah. Do you remember any of the priests, or where were your? Well, actually, go back to your paper delivery. Where was your route, or did you just sell them randomly?
Well, I did both actually.
Yeah.
I delivered and sold.
Oh. And
One of my big hits for making money was the spruce mill when they clocked out.
Oh,
We'd
yeah.
meet them at the door. And
How much was a paper?
I think it was around, gosh, I think it was 50 cents or less.
Well, yeah, I would think it'd be less than that, and that would be
I think it was about a quarter. It wasn't
maybe
too
a
much.
quarter, yeah.
Yeah,
And that was in the 50s.
yeah.
Yeah.
That was fun. I enjoyed that.
So, if you graduated from high school, what year?
60.
So you would probably been in the Holy Name from the like 50 to 56, maybe.
Yeah, yeah.
Or no, because you'd have middle schools, and middle school was in there too somewhere.
Yeah. So it was the late 40s, early 50s.
Mm-hmm. It's hard to remember back that far, isn't it?
Well, I'd have to do a lot of thinking. Yeah. The good days. Then as I got older, I went to work for Ellis Airlines.
How long do you work there?
Oh gosh, through high school.
Yeah. And just doing whatever, or?
Well, just about everything, you know, cleaning and working on planes, and
Yeah.
it was a fun job.
Yeah.
I loved it.
And what year? So that would have been through the 60s?
Well, I had to be 16 before I'd go to work there.
Yeah.
Jack Sherman wouldn't put me on until I became of age.
Yeah.
But yeah, just right after I turned 16, I was down there knocking on his door, telling him I was ready to go to work. I'd get down there. That's when I was up in high school.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
But
Did you ever get to go fly with anybody, or they?
oh yeah,
Yeah.
quite a bit. I made a lot of trips,
Yeah. Good.
a lot of flying.
And that time, most of their work was between here and Annette Island.
Well, it was actually all over the West Coast.
Oh.
You know, pretty much all up to Juneau. Occasionally flew to Haines, but most of the time it was Juneau.
Mm-hmm.
Annette.
Did you ever work at the pulp mill then?
No,
No.
never did.
Never did, huh?
A few weeks after the shutdown, but that was about it.
Yeah. Yeah. So, did your folks, were they Catholic then?
Yes.
And so that all your brothers and sisters went to the school?
Yeah, we all did.
What can you tell me the names of your brothers and sisters?
Well, Tom Jr.
And is he still here?
He's still here.
Oh, he is, yeah.
Yeah. He's got the accounting business.
Oh, okay.
And Dolores and Marilyn
Oh,
and Marguerite.
Dolores, Marguerite, and I know Marilyn, but I don't
Yeah.
think I know Dolores.
She was the oldest.
Okay.
Marguerite's the youngest.
Oh. And everybody still lives here? No.
Yep.
Oh, they all.
Well,
Okay.
we all do, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, when we were in Holy Name, we'd come out here in Canoes and Cove and take the boat out to Loring.
Oh, yeah.
There wasn't any houses in the bay here.
Yeah.
Hardly any.
Yeah.
Pretty empty.
And the road was pretty
It was all gravel.
gravel, basic road to get out here. Yeah.
Mhm.
Because you guys also had a family home in Loring,
Yes.
but primarily lived on, you said Second Avenue?
Third Avenue.
Third Avenue, yeah.
Yeah.
So your folks had moved in from Loring, or they just had two homes?
Well, I had two of them.
Oh, yeah.
Kind of like I'm doing now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I think one of the things I remember very clearly though that I enjoyed was, you know, Mike had mentioned his parents had the store down there where First Bank is now.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that was that was quite a popular place, you know, with the kids.
Oh, they'd run down there and try to
Get candy,
or
popsicles,
treats and stuff. Yeah.
cash in bottles for nickels and dimes.
Oh, yeah. So they had a bottle exchange, huh?
Yeah.
Huh.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I remember that so well.
And you'd have, what do you think, how many kids would have been in your grade? Would you have had just a separate, say a third grade was only third, or was it a combined third and fourth style grade, or?
I believe, as I recall, I believe we were, like the first grade had their own class,
Uh-huh.
and on up second grade.
Everybody had their own class,
Yeah.
yeah. Like Mike was saying, I think early on they had combined grades until they built a little bit of
Well, I remember
numbers.
Some of it was combined,
Yeah, yeah.
but I do remember, you know,
Yeah.
just being with third graders and, excuse me.
Do you remember some of the names of the kids that were in your class?
Mike Durbin, Bob Terhar, Frank Hazabar, Terry Thompson.
Yeah.
Those are the kids that I mainly hung out with. Susan Terhar, that was Bob's sister, the Canucks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. And the Hines guys,
Okay.
Roy and Bill
Oh, good.
and
Yeah.
Kay.
Yeah.
I'm sure you know Roy.
Yeah, I met Roy. I knew him years ago. Yeah.
Bill has since passed away. And of course, Kay, you know, she's one of the owners of the that restaurant downtown.
Oh, yeah. Andrews would be her name now.
Yeah, Yeah.
So her maiden name was Hines?
Hines.
Yeah. See, some of that I don't know, but that's a good little interesting little tidbit.
Mhm.
Yeah. I was gonna
Annabelle's. That's what they
Yeah, Annabelle's. Yeah, yeah.
Trying to think of the name.
Well, Rich and Kay, I grew up on Tower Road, and Rich and Kay were our neighbors. The whole my growing up, they had a little house on the corner of Denali and Tower.
Yeah.
So, you know, I just grew up with them as neighbors, but I didn't know what her maiden name was. You never,
Mhm.
you don't ever ask people that usually.
Yeah, she was the sister of Roy and Bill.
Yeah. And did you have any idea of what motivated your parents to send you guys to the Catholic school? Had they gone to Catholic schools before?
Well, my mother,
where they grew up?
My mother grew up in a convent,
Really?
or a convert up in Holy Cross. So she was basically, almost from the day she was born, she was a Catholic.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And where did she grow up? You said?
Up in Holy Cross.
Oh, Holy Cross. Oh,
Yeah.
way up north.
Way up north.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
She came down on a steamship
Oh yeah. And where was your dad originally from?
originally from Loring.
Loring.
Yeah,
so he was
born
a
and raised
local
out
guy
there.
here. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's why the family home in Loring. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty much where he grew up all right.
Sure. Huh.
Then he worked out of Metlakatla on the fishing boats,
Sure.
fish tenders.
Yeah. Because they had a big cannery in Metlakatla.
Yeah.
And they also had a spruce mill over there too, I think, during the 60s and
There was
70s.
a mill over there.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe even into the 80s, I think that mill operated.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm. Yeah. Do you have any favorite memories of being in the school or not being? You said you got in trouble a little bit, but
Oh, that was kind of my middle name when it came
yeah.
to that. But nothing bad. It was actually a good time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you feel like when you went on to the public school after that, the education was at least enough that you felt competent, or that it was lacking in any way, or?
No, I don't think so. I think the public school was great.
Yeah.
We did okay.
You did fine, yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
It was okay.
Yeah,
A lot of good teachers. They worked
Yeah.
hard to make sure we learned.
yeah, right.
No doubt about that.
Well, you know, in the modern day, everybody's trying to get their kids ahead. You know, they're always trying to get them, which is normal. So you always wonder, well, is your education, either private or public education, is it good? Is it preparing my kids? And I'm sure everybody even then had those same
Mhm.
kind of
Yeah.
considerations. Did you have a principal, or did one of the teachers act as a principal
You mean it?
at the school?
Holy name?
Yeah.
Well, actually, the priest pretty much ran things.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
I know there were sisters that were in charge. I'm thinking that, gosh, I can't even think of her name right offhand. I do remember one teacher that was a principal, now that you mention it.
Sure.
But, yeah, there was someone in charge. You know,
Yeah.
The priest pretty much kind of made decisions on a lot of
And you don't probably remember any. I've been asking people this: who was what the thinking was, or the motivation was to move out to the west location from the downtown location. Do you remember any discussion about that? That was in the mid '60s. You
Yeah.
were probably just out of high school or so.
Well, yeah. You know, as I recall, the old school was they were just outgrowing it.
Oh,
That's
could
what
be.
it came down.
Yeah, yeah. A good problem to have.
Yeah. They were outgrowing it. It was getting old,
Sure.
outdated, everything.
Yeah,
So the new school was a necessity.
yeah,
It had to be done.
yeah. That's good. That's good.
Yeah.
It would be interesting if there was somebody around that was part of that. Maybe it took place at the clerical level or the bishop level,
Mm-hmm.
who decided that to get the property and spend the money
Yeah.
to build it.
Yeah.
But nowadays it would take a committee or two to make something like that happen.
Well, I think there was a lot of donated labor and money that was raised too, as
Mhm.
I recall.
Sure, sure.
You know, it was an expensive move.
Oh,
but
yeah.
It was well worth it.
Yeah.
In fact, my kids, Joel and Paul and Debbie, were probably one of the first ones that went to the school.
Yeah, 60. It opened in 65, the new one.
Yeah.
And I've seen some of the pictures, and the classes look fairly full. I mean, everywhere
They
up to
were.
20 kids in a class, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
So I went there from 74, 5 to 80. And we had classes of, you know, anywhere from 15 to 25, I think.
Yeah.
There was
That's
probably
about what it was.
around 100 to 110 kids
Mhm.
in there. Hmm.
A lot of kids did go to it.
Yeah.
It was good.
Well, Lyle, I'm going to thank you for your memories, and if we have more, we'll just start the camera again. But pause it now.